Don't make a sound, because in this world, sound means death. A meteor crashes to Earth and blind creatures take over. They can't see you, but they can hear everything. A breath, a footstep, even a toy turning on. One family survives by living in total silence. But when their 4-year-old son presses a button on a rocket, something in the forest starts running toward him. And once they hear you, you're already dead. Inside an abandoned shop, a family silently gathered their supplies. Every breath was held, every movement measured. Fear had forced them into complete silence, speaking only through gestures. Before evening fell, the parents of the family, Lee and Evelyn, collected the necessary supplies and began preparing to return home. Just then, their 4-year-old son, Bo, picked up a toy rocket. The moment they saw it, everyone panicked, because it was a battery-operated rocket that could make a loud noise as soon as it was turned on. Lee immediately took the rocket from Bo and removed its batteries. After that, they all headed toward home. Their older daughter, Reagan, had been deaf since childhood, but she cared deeply for Bo. She noticed that Bo had become sad after the rocket was taken away. To cheer him up, she gave him back the empty rocket. However, innocent Bo secretly picked up the batteries as well. Lee and Evelyn were walking barefoot in a line toward the house with the children so that no sound would be made. Their older son, Marcus, was weak. That was why Lee was carrying him in his arms. Suddenly, Bo put the batteries into the rocket and turned it on, and music started playing from it. Reagan could not hear, so she had no idea, but Lee and Evelyn's faces turned pale with fear. All of a sudden, from the dense forest, a terrifying creature rushed toward Bo at lightning speed. Lee put Marcus down and ran toward Bo with all his strength, but before he could reach him, the creature picked up Bo and disappeared into the forest. Lee and Evelyn silently kept shedding tears. In fact, 9 days earlier, a meteorite had fallen from space in Mexico. Along with it, these horrifying alien creatures had arrived on Earth. They were completely blind, but their sense of hearing was extraordinary. Even the slightest vibration in the air or the faintest sound would attract them. If a human even breathed loudly, they would pounce toward them like a bullet. Their skin was stronger than iron, and bullets or bombs had no effect on them. They were extremely fast and agile, and within a short time, they had spread across the entire world. The only way to survive from them was to remain completely silent. That was why Lee and Evelyn had managed to stay alive with their children until now. But one small mistake had taken their son away from them. A year had passed. The absence of Bo was still in their hearts, but for the sake of their 2 remaining children, they had to stay strong. They decided to have another child. Evelyn was 9 months pregnant. They had already made all the preparations. As soon as the baby was born, it would have to be fitted with an oxygen mask and placed inside a soundproof box so that the sound of its crying would not escape outside. They were living in a farmhouse built in the middle of the forest. Lee had installed CCTV cameras all around the house. He was also gathering information about the alien creatures. He knew that 3 creatures were present nearby. He was trying to find their weakness and kept sending SOS signals through the radio for help, but no response came. Regan wore a cochlear implant device, one part of which was connected to her auditory nerve. Lee had modified her device and increased its frequency so that she could sense even faint sounds. But Regan still considered herself responsible for Bo's death. One day, Lee took Marcus to the river to catch fish. Regan also wanted to go with them, but Lee refused. Upset, she left the house and went to her brother's grave. Meanwhile, Evelyn suddenly went into labor. She ran toward the basement so she could turn on the red light outside as an emergency signal. But a nail sticking out from the stairs pierced her foot. In pain, the photo frame slipped from her hand and fell to the floor, shattering. Hearing the noise, an alien entered the house. Evelyn hid behind a shelf. At that moment, Lee saw the red light and immediately ran toward the house. Evelyn set a timer so that its alarm could distract the creature. As soon as the alarm rang, the creature ran in that direction and Evelyn managed to escape. But outside, another creature was patrolling. She hid upstairs in the bathroom. The pain had become unbearable. The baby was about to be born. At that very moment, the creature, sensing her faint whimpers, came closer. Just then, Marcus set off the rockets that had been kept at a distance. With a loud noise, fireworks began, and the creatures ran toward that direction. At that exact moment, Evelyn screamed and gave birth to the baby. Lee arrived at the house with a gun. Seeing the blood on the stairs, he was devastated. But then he saw a hand on the shower glass. Evelyn was alive. She had given birth to a son. Lee immediately picked them up and took them to the basement of the other house where the soundproof box was ready. Now they had to hide the sound of the baby at all costs.
Suddenly, the baby started crying. The moment its sound was heard, an alien creature began moving rapidly toward them. Lee quickly entered the basement and covered the door with a thick mattress. He put an oxygen mask on the baby and locked him inside a box so that the sound of his crying would not escape outside. When the sound was completely muffled, Lee breathed a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, on the other side, Regan was returning home. Suddenly, she saw a burning light in the middle of the fields. She began looking at that light carefully, but she had no idea that a dangerous creature was sensing her presence and following right behind her. Those alien creatures had a power similar to echolocation. They would open the armor on their skull and release sound waves from their mouths to detect the things around them. In this way, the creature came right behind Regan. Suddenly, a loud and sharp sound started coming from Regan's ear device. The high-frequency sound caused the creature to writhe in pain, and it immediately ran away from there. However, that sound was also piercing Regan's ears. But as soon as the creature moved far away, the sound stopped. Regan could not understand what had just happened. She moved toward that light and reached near the bushes. She saw that it was a flashlight lying near a tractor. As soon as she bent down to pick up the flashlight, someone grabbed her hand. It was Marcus, who had been hiding under the tractor out of fear. Seeing his sister, he felt relieved. On the other side, Lee laid Evelyn down in the basement and went outside to look for the children. The alien creature had already left, but it had completely destroyed the house. A water pipe had broken and water was filling the bathtub. Lee did not notice it and went toward the fields to search for the children. Meanwhile, after the tub filled up, the water began overflowing downstairs. At the same time, Marcus and Regan were hiding on top of the grain silo waiting for their father. After some time, Evelyn woke up and saw that the basement had filled with water. Water was pouring down from above like a waterfall. Then her eyes fell on the baby's box. It was open, but there was no sound coming from the baby. As she panicked and stood up, she saw an alien creature in a dark corner eating something. Evelyn was terrified, but gathering her courage, she moved toward the baby. The basement was filled with water up to her waist. The creature also stepped into the water. Evelyn looked inside the box. The baby was safe. Fortunately, he had not cried. She picked up the baby and stood in a corner while the creature hovered nearby. Meanwhile, Regan wanted to return home. Marcus came to stop her, but his foot stepped onto the silo door and he fell inside. Hearing the noise, the creature rushed in that direction like lightning. Marcus was sinking into the silo filled with corn. The more he tried to get out, the deeper he went. Regan jumped into the silo to save him. She pushed the door toward Marcus. Somehow, Marcus managed to get out, but Regan herself became completely submerged in the corn. Marcus reached in with his hand, grabbed her, and pulled her out with all his strength. But hearing the noise, the alien creature also jumped into the silo. Both of them pulled the door over themselves. However, the creature tore through the iron door with its sharp claws. Just as it was about to attack, once again a sharp sound came from Regan's device. The creature writhed in pain and tore its way out of the silo before running away. When they came outside, Lee had also arrived there. Seeing the children safe brought him relief. Just then, he sensed the presence of the creature. He sent the children toward the truck and prepared himself with an axe. But the creature was on top of the shed. It attacked Lee and severely injured him. Hearing Marcus scream, the creature began moving toward the children. This time, Regan turned off the device because the sound was bothering her, and that was her biggest mistake. That same high-frequency sound was the weakness of those creatures. As the creature lunged at the truck, Lee signaled to the children that he loved them. Then he shouted loudly, drawing the creature's attention toward himself. The creature killed him, but the children's lives were saved. The children reached home. Evelyn hugged them tightly. Just then, another creature entered the basement. Evelyn prepared herself with a gun, but she knew that bullets would not affect its thick skin. Regan remembered her father's research. She turned the device back on. The high-frequency sound made the creature writhe in pain. Regan connected the device to a microphone, which made the sound even louder. In agony, the creature's skull armor opened up. As soon as its real face was exposed, Evelyn fired a shotgun directly into its mouth. Pieces of its skull flew apart and it collapsed right there. However, hearing the gunshot, the other two creatures also began moving toward them. But now, Regan and Evelyn knew their weakness. Instead of fear, there was now a fire of revenge inside them. Regan turned the speaker volume all the way up, and Evelyn reloaded the gun and prepared for the fight. This is where this part of the story ends.